Hey everyone, today we're taking a look at a few of my favorite software tools for investors. These are platforms that can be used on their own or in combination to help you find stocks to invest in, research companies, and make better investing decisions. So I'm going to be looking at 4 platforms today: Stock Rover, the Motley Fool Stock Advisor, Alpha Picks, and Seeking Alpha. So I'm going to dive right in. There's a lot to cover and take a look at Stock Rover first. So Stock Rover is a stock research and portfolio analysis platform that does a really great job in kind of an all-in-one approach. It's great for finding companies using its screener, analyzing those companies using research reports, and then monitoring your portfolio over time to make sure that you're beating the market. So Stock Rover uses kind of an unconventional table-based approach to helping you get information about stocks. So you can see here, I have a quick folder here I've made with 4 stocks that we're going to look at. And you can see we're comparing these stocks on just basic fundamental data here: market cap, year-to-date return, price to earnings ratio, and more. This approach, this table, can be really great if you're trying to find the best stock in a particular sector. You want to find either the most undervalued company in a sector or the company with the most growth potential in a sector. It's also great if you're trying to decide between related companies and want to figure out which one of those is a better fit for your portfolio. There are a bunch of different table views available here by default. For example, you can look at price performance versus the S&P 500 over various time intervals. You can also easily create your own custom tables to look at the metrics that matter to you. If you want to dig in further into any individual company, just right-click on it and open up the research report. Stock Rover's research reports are really helpful, and they offer a ton of information about specific companies. Here you can see, for example, the performance of that company over the past year compared to its sector average, as well as the S&P 500. You can look at the analyst consensus ratings on whether to buy, sell, or hold that stock. And then you can look at quantitative scores on a scale of 0 to 100 for value, growth, quality, and sentiment. If you want to dig into these further, just slide down the research report. There's more data there on all of these. Really great for quickly taking a look at a stock, figuring out if it's a good fit for your investing strategy and whether it makes sense for your portfolio right now. That said, the one thing you're not going to see a lot of in Stock Rover is technical analysis tools. There are some limited ones there, like relative strength index and moving average convergence divergence. You can use those to basically get an idea of what stocks are approaching entry points, but I do recommend using this in combination with something like TradingView or another technical analysis and charting platform if you're looking for entry opportunities into stocks that you find using Stock Rover. That's it. To find stocks that are potential, to add to a watch list or to consider investing in, Stock Rover has a great screener. It's one of my favorites for investors. It comes with a bunch of built-in screen options here. There's this breakout screener that we're looking at here. There's also screens for stocks that have trading under their fair value, stocks that offer growth at a reasonable price. There's a Warren Buffett inspired filter, and then just a top stocks filter, which is stocks that have a high value, growth, and quality score within Stock Rover's ecosystem. So it's a really great way to just quickly dive in and get companies that, are worth a look. Dive into those research reports, put together a quote table using a couple of these stocks, figure out what makes sense for your portfolio. Once you put together a portfolio in Stock Rover, you can actually monitor that over time using built-in analytics tools. These are really great because they allow you to do things like see if your stocks are correlated to kind of assess your market risk if there's a market-wide downturn. They also let you assess details of your holdings, which is really great if you have ETFs or mutual funds in your portfolio. And then, of course, you can look at returns on multiple timeframes and compared to sector benchmarks in the S&P 500 to make sure that your portfolio is performing the way you want it to. So there's a lot of tools in Stock Rover. I'm not going to get into too much detail on all of them today, but overall, I think this is a really great all-in-one platform that can help you go from idea to research to actually kind of fitting that stock and that company into your portfolio and making sure your portfolio is performing well over time. The other thing that's great about Stock Rover is it's really not all that expensive. So it starts with the Essentials plan, which costs just $80 a year. There's a premium plan, offers access to more historical data and more data within the research reports. This is $180 per year. And the plan I showed you is Premium Plus for $280 per year. This gives you full access to all of StockRover's data, research reports, and portfolio analysis tools. If you're interested in StockRover, you can get a 2-week trial of that Premium Plus plan for free. I highly recommend giving that a test run and seeing what you think of this platform. So the next investing service I want to highlight is the Motley Fool, and specifically its flagship Stock Advisor service. This is a great service if you're interested in receiving ready-to-buy stock recommendations from a company with a long track record of outperforming the market. With Stock Advisor, you get 2 recommendations each month for long-term, explosive potential growth stocks to consider buying. Each recommendation is accompanied by an easy-to-read research report, allowing you to learn about the reasons behind the stock's recommendation. I like these a lot because they focus on the potential market, leadership team, and big picture risks, rather than just rehashing a company's financial metrics. There are no entry points or setups to worry about, and Motley Fool suggests holding recommended stocks for at least 5 years. So the service is great if you want to take a more hands-off approach to building and managing a long-term portfolio. Stock Advisor also comes with a monthly ranking list of stocks to consider if you have extra money to invest or don't love the latest recommendations. This list ranks the 10 best stocks already in the Stock Advisor portfolio to double down on right now, and it's really nice for finding high-growth stocks experiencing a pullback or that could be just about to take off. The thing that really stands out about Stock Advisor is that it's consistently beaten the market for decades. Since the service launched in 2002, it's generated a return of 1,062% versus 191% for the S&P 500 as of October 2025. That's the best track record of any stock recommendation service I've tested by a very wide margin. Stock Advisor is also relatively inexpensive. You can get your first year for just $99 when you use a link that I'll include with this video. After that, it's only $199 per year, so you don't need a huge portfolio to make this service worthwhile. Be sure to check out my full Motley Fool Stock Advisor video review to learn more about this investing platform. So the next platform I want to talk about is Alpha Picks from Seeking Alpha. This is another stock recommendation service similar to the Motley Fool Stock Advisor, but there's some really important differences. Alpha Picks mostly focuses on shorter term investments, so typically anywhere from 6 months to 18 months. The service is much more targeted towards active investors than the long-term investors that Stock Advisor is focused on. This is also a newer service. It's been around since 2022 only, but in that time, it's done pretty well compared to the S&P 500. As of October 2025, AlphaPix has returned about 251% versus 77% for the S&P 500. The stocks that AlphaPix covers cover a wide variety of sectors. The tech sector is going to be pretty heavily represented here, which is not surprising given how much the tech sector contributes to the overall market. But if we take a look at the closed picks, we can see that there's a wide range here. For example, General Motors, PepsiCo, Abercrombie & Fitch, a retail company. When these picks come out, they do come with research reports, so you can see what the Seeking Alpha team is thinking and why they're recommending these picks right now. These are pretty similar to the Stock Advisor research reports, but they tend to look a little bit more at kind of current performance and technicals as opposed to longer-term business factors like leadership or a company's competitive positioning. It's worth noting that these research reports will reference a lot of data from Seeking Alpha's research platform, but AlphaPix does not include access to Seeking Alpha itself. AlphaPix is a standalone service with its own subscription. And AlphaPix costs $499 per year, so it's a pretty expensive service compared to other stock recommendation platforms that are out there. That said, you can get $50 off for your first year, and Seeking Alpha does offer a bundle if you're interested in both the Seeking Alpha research platform and AlphaPix together. So with that, let's dive into Seeking Alpha itself, which is going to be the last platform that I'm talking about. Seeking Alpha is a stock research platform with really powerful tools for digging into companies and particularly looking at valuation metrics, financials, and fundamental data. It also has a really powerful screener that's comparable to the screener in StockRover and offers a few additional ways and kind of automations to help you find the best stocks to research and invest in. So I think the best way to show you what Seeking Alpha is all about is to just dive into the page for a specific stock. We'll take a look at Apple. So you can see on the main page here, there's a rating summary from Seeking Alpha analysts. These are going to be financial bloggers, Seeking Alpha contributors, and others who can write analysis articles about stocks and publish them to the Seeking Alpha site. They can rate these stocks from a sell to a buy, And this rating here is going to sort of be the consensus that they've come to. There's also a rating from Wall Street analysts. So these are kind of the Wall Street price targets that you're probably used to. And then there's a rating from Seeking Alpha's custom quantitative algorithm. This is a custom model that takes into account financials, valuation metrics, price performance, and more to rate a stock, buy, sell, or hold. And this has beaten the market consistently since it was introduced a number of years ago. The summary page also shows factor grades for each stock. So Seeking Alpha grades companies based on their valuation, growth, profitability, momentum, and analyst price target revisions. So this is like similar to the scores in Stockrover. I actually prefer the factor grades within Seeking Alpha. I think they give you a little bit more detail. And we're going to dive into some of the metrics here. You can really see how these factor grades are derived and get individual scores for all of the different metrics that Seeking Alpha ranks. So we'll dig into the financials tab here, and you can dive into income statements, balance sheet, and cash flow. I really like this valuation tab. This is where you get into kind of Seeking Alpha's meat, where you can see both valuation metrics for these companies and really dig into different ways of looking at things like price to earnings and earnings before interest and taxes, or price to sales, and see how a company stacks up against other companies in its sector. So this isn't the table approach that Stockrover takes, which can be really nice, but it is giving you information that's comparative between a company and its peers. And I really like this, again, for finding the best company within a sector to invest in. If you want to take that peer analysis one step further, Seeking Alpha offers that too. There is a peer tab here that offers kind of a look at how company that you're interested in this case, Apple, compares against some of its biggest competitors on factors like market cap, enterprise value, Wall Street analysts covering those companies. And you can look at charts of price return as well as some basic valuation and fundamental metrics. So a really nice way of kind of visualizing these differences between companies over time. The other feature in Seeking Alpha that I think is really great is this stock screener, and particularly the top stocks pre-built screen. This shows you stocks that have high ratings from the quantitative algorithm, Seeking Alpha analysts, and Wall Street analysts. And it's a great place to start if you want to just dive in and find the best stocks to focus your research on. It's really easy to take any of these stocks and use Seeking Alpha's research tools to dig in, find out what Seeking Alpha contributors think about them, read the research articles that they publish, as well as dive into those valuation metrics and financial metrics that I just showed you. It's a really, really powerful platform if you're willing to take the time to dig into these stocks and find out what they're all about and why they've made this top stocks list. Of course, you can create your own stock screens in Seeking Alpha too. It makes it really easy, and there's a bunch of advanced filters for basically all of the various metrics that Seeking Alpha offers. I actually like Stockrover's screener a little bit better. I think it's just nice to have all of the metrics in one place and have the extra customizability that Stockrover offers. But Seeking Alpha Screener is one of the best out there, and it offers more than enough analytical firepower for the vast majority of investors. So Seeking Alpha is available with a 1-month trial for $4.95. Highly recommend taking advantage of that, giving this platform a test. If you're interested in purchasing Seeking Alpha, it's a $299 per year subscription. I think that's fairly reasonable for all of the tools included in here, as well as access to that custom quantitative algorithm. I think it can be really worth it. I've personally found a lot of great stock ideas and recommendations using Seeking Alpha. So those are 4 software tools that I highly recommend for investors. I think they do a great job of helping you find stock ideas, research those ideas, and then put them into action and monitor your performance over time. I think they do a great job of helping you find stocks that are worth researching, actually digging into those stocks to see if they're right for your portfolio, and then monitoring your portfolio performance over time to keep it optimized and make sure you're getting the best companies. I have full video reviews on each of the software platforms that I covered, so I definitely recommend you dive into those, take a closer look, and take advantage of any trials for these platforms if you're interested.